Dana Walker, 27 years old, was a dedicated single mom. Her life with her daughter, Naomi, was quiet, a life she had chosen to build. "You have worth even when you haven't done anything yet," people told her, especially to Naomi. Meanwhile, Nick Rivera, 32 years old, was a former elite tactical officer, hardened by danger and missions. All he knew was to follow orders and stay alive. "Starting today, Dana, I'm not leaving. Whatever happens, I'll stay, not just as a guard, as a father, and if you'll allow it, even more than that." Fate would reunite their two different worlds. Past and present would collide. What if her child's bodyguard turned out to be her child's father? Could they face the wounds of yesterday for their child tomorrow? Let us witness another love story. Nick Rivera was not used to silence. In his 10 years of service as an elite tactical officer, he had grown accustomed to the thunder of gunfire, the echo of radio commands, and the weight of missions that nearly killed him. For him, silence was not peace. It was a warning, and the concept of love, a distraction that had no place in a world built on survival. But tonight, as a village on the edge of an insurgent control zone burned, a different kind of silence unsettled him. Not fear, not danger, something else, a sudden, heavy pounding of his heart. "Bravo 3, report your position. Copy, over." Nick ran, breathless, rifle in hand. "Bravo 3, moving east. Copy, Commander. I've got the last known coordinates of the hostage. I'll retrieve and extract. Over." His voice cut through the dark. He swept a building half collapsed by the bombing. With each fall of his combat boots, the ground trembled, ready to give way. He didn't care. Only one thing mattered: get the hostage out before everything blew. Inside a dark room, he heard hitching sobs, the wet sound of someone struggling to breathe. "Hostage, are you secured in here? Hello, can you hear me?" Help me," a woman rasped. In a corner he found her, bloody, barely conscious. Her white uniform was stained with blood and dust. One look and Nick knew she was no soldier, a medical volunteer. He slung his rifle and gathered her up. "Damn, you're a volunteer. You shouldn't be here. Your team been gone a while." "I was left," she whispered, "caught in the crossfire." He checked her pulse, forehead creasing. "Still strong. I'm not leaving you. Do you hear me? You're not dying here." Her eyelids fluttered. She'd been fighting to stay awake. She wouldn't let her life end here. "Who are you?" she asked, forcing her eyes open. He lifted her, adjusting her in his arms. "You're the miracle. I'm Officer Rivera, Bravo team, and I'm getting you out of this hell." Gunfire cracked, explosions rolled. Nick carried her, heavy and weakening, every second precious. Instinct screamed that the compound could blow any moment. Another burst of shots. The woman trembled. Why are you saving me?" she breathed. "So many people have been left behind." "Because I don't leave people behind, whoever they are, volunteer or not on my watch. And no, we didn't leave anyone. My team already pulled the others out. But you might die if we don't move." Nick's jaw clenched. He pushed straight for the exit. "Then I die doing the right thing," he muttered. "Shut up and stay awake. Don't you dare close your eyes, you hear me." With every breath she took, Nick felt the weight in his arms, responsibility. But the pounding in his chest wasn't just adrenaline. It was a rush of feeling he couldn't name. The kind of silence he'd avoided for years now pressed on his heart while he held a stranger's life. At the evacuation base, he shouted for medics. "Wounded civilian, bring her in." He set her on a stretcher, still gasping. "Multiple wounds, get her fast," a medic barked. Nick turned to go, but the woman grabbed his hand. "Don't leave me, please." He froze, looking into her eyes. "I'm not leaving, not yet. I'll make sure you're okay before I go." Truth was, he needed to leave. He still had a job to do. While they treated her, he kept checking his watch. When he saw her finally sink into sleep, he slipped away. 2 weeks passed at the base, while the wounded were treated. Nick couldn't explain why he kept checking on the volunteer. It wasn't his habit to get involved in the lives of people he rescued. But every night, there he was, bringing her water, fixing her blanket. He felt the wall he'd built against emotions softening. One cold night inside the tent, she refused to be away from him, so the commander had her sleep near Nick's station. "I still don't know your name," she whispered. "You've been here for nights. You only gave me your last name. That's what I've been calling you." "Names aren't important in my line of work," Nick said flatly from the other cot. "It matters to me in case I don't wake up tomorrow. I want to remember who saved me." He sighed, looked at her. Nicholas Rivera." "Nick," she said, tasting the name. "It suits you, hard edges but solid." "Stop talking nonsense," he said gently. "You need to rest. If it weren't for you, I'd be dead. I don't even know how to thank you." He frowned and looked away. Her face was so open, so unguarded. He stood and turned for a moment to hide what stirred in him. "Just live, that's enough." He didn't want to admit it, but those nights changed him. He heard his own heartbeat in a way he didn't hear it in firefights. No bullet etched fear into him now, only the thought that she might disappear in front of him. 2 weeks for Nick felt like a long rest in the middle of endless missions, and for a man made for war, it was the most boring and the most terrifying time of his life. For the first time, he wasn't dodging bullets. He was dodging feeling. He cared for the woman he'd saved, Dana. Every day he made sure she ate, took her meds, had a warm blanket at night. He didn't know why he, of all people, volunteered to watch her. There were plenty of medics. But he knew the answer. He didn't want her out of his sight. Dana sat with her arm bandaged. "Honestly, you shouldn't be here. The field probably needs you." Nick leaned on a tent post, arms crossed. "I need to keep you safe. You're not out of danger until the transfer. I'll watch you till then." "Aren't you exhausted? You're always here. I barely see you sleep." "I'm used to no sleep. Besides, it's heavier to sleep when your conscience says you left a patient behind." "So I'm a patient now. I thought I was a hostage." "You're still a hostage. Hostage to my responsibility." With every exchange, Nick felt his cold exterior thaw. Sometimes he caught himself smiling at her jokes. Sometimes he was stunned into quiet by her soft laugh. Among the wounded soldiers, machine hum, and sharp smell of antiseptic, this was the only silence he didn't want to end. "If you hadn't come, I might be gone," she said. "I'd never see my family, my brothers. Sometimes I wonder, why did you do it? You didn't even know me." Nick pulled his sidearm and cleaned it, methodical. "I don't need to know the person I save. I'm a soldier. My job is to protect whoever needs protecting." He hated being asked why he saved people. He was a soldier, wasn't that the point? Questions like that felt like doubt in a soldier's purpose. Dana touched his hand, and he looked up. "You're not just a soldier to me. What am I to you?" "I don't know, but whenever you're there, I'm not afraid." For Nick, those were the most dangerous words, because he had no answer, and in the nights that followed, he fell deeper into the danger of her presence. But he knew it had to end. The next day he had a new mission, and she would be turned over to authorities to return to her family. He didn't know why his chest felt heavy, like he was losing something that had never been his. "You're leaving tomorrow, right?" "Orders, I don't have a choice. If you go, we might never see each other again." "That's how it is. In my job, goodbyes are constant. What matters is your safety." "I'm not ready," she whispered. He didn't wait for words. He didn't even know how it happened. In a single breath, he moved, and in the tense, dim light, their lips met, a kiss full of panic, fear, and feelings that shouldn't be there. A fast night, a quiet night, a night that would never happen again. Before sunrise, Nick delivered Dana into the hands of the authorities. He was quiet. She was quiet. They said nothing, but in her eyes he saw sadness, words she couldn't say. "Thank you, Nick," Dana whispered, voice nearly gone. He turned away, forcing himself. "Live your life, forget me." And that was the last of it. Months passed. He returned to missions, to echoing gunfire and the smell of smoke and powder. Like every soldier, he tried to forget the woman, that night, and the calm that felt like connection. "Bravo 3, move in." "Over," his commander called. Prone with a sniper rifle, Nick answered, "Copy, target acquired." As he squeezed the trigger, he told himself the past was gone. He was a soldier, only a soldier, and the woman, just a memory he never imagined would return. Years later came the day every soldier fears, a mistake that puts your name on the edge of ruin. A mission in Central Asia stained Nick's record. It was supposed to be a rescue of diplomats held by a warlord. But amid tense negotiations, bad intel, a wrong move, a single shot, and it looked like a massacre. Innocent civilians died. He hadn't given the order, but it was his name in the news. Captain Rivera, your record speaks of discipline and loyalty, the general said. But with what happened, we need to pull you from the spotlight. You're both an asset and a liability. Understood, sir, court-martial. The general exhaled. No, we're protecting you as much as the agency. You're going low profile, civilian task, bodyguard detail. Bodyguard, that's beneath my training. Think of it as penance and protection. The enemies you made out there have reach. You'll be safer stateside, away from open conflict. It won't be long. And in an instant, the soldier bred for gunfire was sent back to the United States, an exile disguised as an assignment. Nick landed at JFK. New York's humid summer air felt nothing like the chill of the desert or the harsh climates he knew. He wore no combat gear, no rifles slung over his shoulder, only a concealed sidearm. He felt like a wild bird caged. Outside, a man met him. Captain Rivera, this way, sir. We'll brief you in the car. Target Naomi Walker, 4 years old, the man said as they drove. Daughter of Dana Walker, one of the most influential billionaires in the United States. Recently, Dana threw out an international arms dealer from a consular project. Now she's receiving death threats. The child's also a target because of what Ms. Walker did. So babysitting a rich kid, from combat zones to this. High-priority civilian, confidential. This isn't just any child. Protecting this family means international leverage. Fine, an assignment is an assignment. But when the man said Dana Walker, Nick's heart knocked against his ribs. The name rang familiar, the sound of it a trigger. He forced it down. Memory clawed back anyway, a night he'd long tried to bury. At the Walker estate, a fortress wrapped in security greeted him. Guards in suits, CCTV, high-tech gates. Inside, a little girl sat quietly on a garden swing. Nick stopped. The child wore a simple dress and stared at him, curious. "Are you my new bodyguard?" she asked, voice sweet. Nick cleared his throat, stepped forward and stood straight. "Yes, Captain Nicholas Rivera, I'll be protecting you starting today." "You look strict, like you don't know how to smile." He froze, startled. "I don't have to smile to protect you." "You sound like Mommy, always serious," she said, eyes misting. But it wasn't her words that shook Nick, it was her eyes. Deep, round, dark, holding the echo of a woman who had once branded herself on his soul. He felt like he'd been shot in the chest, not from pain, but from recognition. Hours later, while he reviewed the mansion's security monitors, he was all business. "Perimeter on the west, double the guards," the security chief said. "Yes, sir." Nick felt a tug at his sleeve. Naomi looked up at him. "Do you always talk like that, like you're always giving orders?" "Habit, sorry if it bothers you." "No, I like it. It makes me feel safe." And with those words, he heard a voice from his memory, the woman who once said, "Whenever you're there, I'm not afraid." That night, Dana returned from an international conference. She wore a tailored suit, elegant, untouchable. When Nick looked up, the world stopped. The woman he'd cared for, the woman he'd left at the evacuation base, stood there. Sharper now, stronger, but her eyes the same. "Are you the one they sent?" Dana asked. "Yes, ma'am, Captain Nicholas Rivera, assigned to your daughter's protection." She nodded, looking away. "Good, I hope you're competent. My daughter's safety is everything. One mistake, and I will personally see that you're removed." "I understand, ma'am. I don't fail." No sign of recognition crossed her face, as if she had never seen him. Inside Nick, an old wound split open. Later, he headed to the staff quarters to grab his things. Because he would be guarding the child, he'd live on site. Alone on the bunk, He stared at a small compass he'd carried since that old mission. She doesn't remember me, he thought, or maybe she chose to forget because that's what she needed. He tried to lock his emotions away, but the truth pressed heavy, the little girl, her eyes, her mother's name, that night. For the first time after so much silence, Nick felt the thing he feared more than bullets, love he didn't know whether to face or flee. He arrived early the next morning with his gear. He spent more time with the child. Naomi was quiet but warm, a natural friend. In the first days on duty, he noticed she wasn't like other 4-year-olds, not loud, not fussy. She was gentle, older than her age somehow, but sweet with those she chose to trust. And somehow, he was one of them. Nick sat in an old chair by the garden, watchful. Before he knew it, Naomi was beside him, holding a small book. "Uncle Captain, do you like stories?" "Stories? Yes, fairy tales." He gave a faint laugh. He couldn't remember the last time he heard a fairy tale. His whole life was gunfire, commanders, orders, the screams of the wounded. Kings and princesses weren't his territory. "I'm not sure," he said. "Maybe you can read to me, Naomi." She smiled, sat next to him, opened the book, and began to read softly. She was obviously enjoying herself. Nick listened quietly, a strange warmth slipping into his chest with every word. After a few minutes, Naomi snapped the book shut and grinned at him, mischief in her eyes. "Uncle Captain, we're done, come on." "Done with what?" "The story, now we play." Before he could refuse, Naomi grabbed his hand and tugged him into the house. He didn't resist. Small hands, big determination. He chuckled at the little commander's force. "Naomi, I don't know how to play. My job is to watch." "Then watch me while we play." She led him to the living room, toys laid out, stuffed animals, building blocks, tiny figurines. At the far end of the sofa, Dana sat with a tablet, reading, but he didn't miss the quick glance she gave when she saw him with Naomi. "Mommy, Uncle Captain will play with me." Dana lifted her gaze, one brow arching. "Oh," he agreed. Nick scratched his head, awkward. "Well, I was dragged, ma'am." Dana smirked and went back to the tablet. Naomi sat on the rug and lined up the stuffed toys. "Okay, Uncle Captain, you're Prince Leon. This is Princess Marigold." She pointed to a stuffed rabbit. "And this is the dragon." She pointed to a battered stuffed crocodile. Nick's eyes widened. "Me a prince? Naomi, maybe I can be the dragon." "No, you're the prince, because you're strong." He paused, something hit him in the chest. No one had ever told him he could be anything but a soldier, much less a prince. "All right, Prince it is." They began. Naomi took role play seriously, moving the toys with purpose. "Prince Leon, you must save me. The dragon is here." She thrust the stuffed crocodile at Nick. "Oh." Across the room, Dana's head lifted. Amusement glimmered in her eyes. "Stronger, Uncle Captain," Naomi urged. Nick swung the stuffed rabbit like a sword. Naomi burst into laughter and ran circles around the couch, pretending to flee. He had no choice but to follow the storyline. "Princess Marigold, don't worry, I'll save you." Dana pressed a hand over her mouth, trying not to laugh, but when she saw Nick, the serious soldier, fully committed to a child's game, her laughter finally broke free, bright, unguarded, a sound Nick hadn't heard from her in years. It hit him harder than any bullet, not the game, not the toys, her laugh. For a second he froze, staring. The room seemed to dissolve until there was only her, laughing like she once did when he cared for her long ago, stronger now, fuller. "Uncle Captain, why are you frozen? Save me, don't stare at my mommy, she'll melt." He snapped back and resumed the battle. "Right, dragon, prepare to lose." They spun until they collapsed, breathless. Naomi flopped on the carpet, giggling. "That was fun. Uncle Captain is the best prince. Let's play again tomorrow." Nick sat, a touch sweaty. He wiped his brow and handed the girl a towel. "You're a tough princess, Naomi." Dana shook her head, but smiled. "I didn't expect to see a soldier befriend stuffed toys." Nick smiled shyly, unable to hold her gaze. "Me neither, ma'am." Their eyes met for a heartbeat. enough to remind him of everything. In the child's laughter and the warm light of afternoon, Nick realized that no matter how many wars he'd survived, the hardest fight was for the quiet of a heart rediscovering home. Naomi ran to him and tugged his arm. "Can Uncle Captain read me a story tonight?" Dana paused, glanced at Nick. For the first time, he saw a small crack in her cool mask. "If you want," Dana said, uncertain, and left them together. That night in Naomi's room, Nick sat at the edge of her bed while she listened. In her version, she was the princess, and he was the knight who kept watch. "Uncle Captain, do you believe in destiny?" Nick hesitated. He wasn't used to questions like that. In war, destiny was simple. If you woke up tomorrow, that was your fate. "Destiny, I used to think it didn't exist," he said, "but maybe sometimes it does." He closed his eyes, and the image rose, the woman balanced between life and death, the woman he left in official hands after a night he could never forget. "I think destiny brought you here to me," Naomi whispered, drifting to sleep. A cold shiver slid down his back, not fear, but something he couldn't name. The next day, on exterior duty, he caught sight of Dana walking out with business partners. Their eyes met, and the puzzle finally locked into place. She was the woman he had saved, the woman he had not seen since the night he left her 5 years ago. And here she was, stronger, more elegant. If she remembered, she chose not to show it. Pain pricked, but he swallowed it. "Who am I to be remembered?" he thought. He straightened, shoulders squared, emotions sealed under the uniform. From now on, this assignment would not be simple. Days under the same roof revealed odd coincidences. Naomi's favorite foods matched his exactly. Her walk, her stance, her favorite color, even a fascination with compasses and maps. Suspicion grew, especially as he spent more time around Dana, seeing glimpses of the talkative woman he'd once known. No wonder he'd bonded with Naomi so quickly. The child was a magnet, and he, despite years of discipline, had no defense. The only problem, the closer Naomi drew to him, the more cautious Dana became. He couldn't blame her. She was a mother carrying a secret weight for reasons of her own. But as days passed, chances for clashes grew. Uncle Captain, Mommy won't let me have ice cream before dinner." Naomi sprinted in, clutching a stuffed toy. "Ice cream before dinner?" Nick lifted a brow. "Yes," she said. "No, but I want it now. Please talk to her." She tugged his shirt. "Naomi, that's not good for your stomach. It might hurt." "But you always say a soldier never backs down from what she wants." Nick pinched the bridge of his nose. "I never said that. I said a soldier never backs down from a challenge." "Ice cream is a challenge." "Oh, Lord." Before he could answer, Dana strode in from the kitchen, spoon in hand. "Nick, don't you dare side with her." He straightened like a child caught misbehaving. "I'm not, I mean. You're always saying no, Mommy. Uncle Captain says soldiers are brave. That means I can have ice cream now." Dana exhaled and pointed the spoon at Nick. "See what you've done." Nick raised both hands, surrendering. "Don't look at me like I'm the villain. I didn't say ice cream is a challenge." "Yes, you did," Naomi insisted. "Naomi, no ice cream, end of discussion. And you, Nick, stop spoiling her." She turned back to the kitchen. Naomi pouted. "You'll talk to her, right, Uncle Captain?" "You're turning me into the enemy, little princess," Nick sighed, trailing Dana into the kitchen. "Dana, maybe a little ice cream wouldn't hurt, just a little. She's a kid. She looks forward to small things." "This isn't a military camp where we hand out rewards for discipline," Dana snapped. "She's my daughter. She eats when I say she eats. End of story." "Okay, I get it, but sometimes a small treat isn't bad. Remember when you were a kid, you wanted things too." "I never got what I wanted at her age, and look where it got me, alive." "I get it, you're scared for her, but you don't have to keep her in a cage." Dana's eyes narrowed. "You don't know what I've been through, Nick, or what I'm still hiding her from." Nick glanced at the doorway. Naomi was peeking in, frowning like she was watching a drama. "She deserves to laugh," he said softly. She's a child. She deserves to live. See, Mommy, even soldiers say so, Naomi chimed in. Naomi, eavesdropping again. She ran to Nick and pressed into his side. Uncle Captain is my lawyer. Lawyer, huh? Nick smirked, then caught Dana's glare. She's becoming spoiled because of you, Dana said. You're turning her against me. I'm not turning her against you. She's just clever, like her mother. Dana flushed, then steeled herself. Don't use flattery as an escape. That night, Nick sat beside Naomi as she tried to sleep. Dana sat on the other side with a book, clearly listening. Uncle Captain, why won't Mommy let me do what I want? Doesn't she love me? Nick looked at Dana, then back to Naomi. Princess, your mom loves you more than anything. That's why she's strict. She wants you safe. Sometimes it feels like she doesn't trust me. Dana closed her book and moved closer. Naomi, love is trusting and keeping you safe. If anything ever happened to you, I wouldn't survive. Naomi fell quiet and squeezed her mother's hand. Nick saw the burden Dana carried, the burden of a mother who wanted only her child's safety. In the hallway, Dana walked beside Nick. Stop letting her get away with everything. I can't afford for her to be reckless. Fine, but don't forget she's still a kid. She needs to breathe. Dana closed her eyes, then walked away. Good night, Captain. Good night, Dana. She didn't like being called ma'am. She told him to call her Dana, nothing else. The pattern repeated. Naomi asked Nick for help getting what she wanted. If Dana said no, Nick would try to negotiate. Sometimes the child won a small victory. In the end, Dana usually had the final word, and Nick folded. Uncle Captain, Mommy won't let me climb trees, Naomi complained one afternoon. They were comfortable enough now that Nick wasn't afraid to tease Dana. Why not? She needs to learn balance. That's a survival skill. She's 7, Dana said flatly. Exactly. They compromised. Naomi climbed while Nick spotted her, Dana close to a heart attack. If she falls, I've got her, Nick promised. I won't let her get hurt. Another day, Naomi wanted to assemble a small wooden toy gun. Over my dead body, Nick, Dana said. It's harmless, just wood, like Lego. Dana sighed when she saw Naomi already holding the toy. See, Mommy, I'm a soldier now. Dana rubbed her temples, 2 headaches, the child and the soldier. At lunch, it got worse. Uncle Captain, can I skip vegetables if I do 10 push-ups? That's fair. Discipline through exercise. Dana groaned, wonderful. With every argument, they got used to each other's presence. Dana hated to admit it, but whenever she saw Naomi laugh with Nick, part of her melted. She hadn't seen her daughter that happy in a long time. And Nick, despite the constant scolding, couldn't explain why he kept smiling through their sparring. It felt like he was being pulled back toward a life he'd long pushed away, a life with family, laughter, love. Then one day, every doubt Nick had was answered. Uncle Captain, look, Naomi ran over, holding a drawing pad, a soldier with a flag. That's my daddy, Uncle Captain. Mommy says he was a soldier. Someday I'll find him. Nick forgot to breathe. Every unsolved piece suddenly fell into shape. Late that night, after excusing himself to take care of something, he went to the small on-site HQ where he kept personal files. He spread old logs, mission reports, calendars, letters he hated to revisit. Rescue date, birth date, no gaps, no doubts. His grip tightened on the papers. He sank into a chair, eyes closed. The sounds of that night came roaring back, gunfire, sweat, the sudden warm night that changed everything. Hey, you still awake? Asked Levi, another soldier now assigned to a prominent family's security detail. He held a mug of coffee and dropped into the seat across from Nick. Nick didn't answer at first. He stared at the document, then whispered, Levi, Naomi is my daughter. Levi nearly dropped his mug. Wait, what? Are you serious? Nick nodded, chest heavy. I can't be wrong. The mission in Yemen, she was born months after. Dana never told me, but now it all makes sense. Dude, that's huge, Levi said, scratching his head. All this time, you thought it was just a job. You've been guarding your own kid. You know what's insane? Nick said, voice breaking. I want to scream, I want to hug her and tell her I'm your dad, but I can't. Why not? She deserves to know. Dana can't hide this forever. It's not that simple. Dana's world is fragile. She's rich, powerful. I'm just a soldier, a bodyguard. If I push, Naomi might get hurt. Dana might pull her away from me. Bro, listen, Levi said. You're already her protector. You've been her father in action. Title or not, you held her when she cried. You fought for her, you love her. Even if she doesn't know it, you do. Yeah, Nick whispered. Every time she calls me Uncle Captain, my heart cracks. I want to tell her I'm not her uncle, I'm her dad. Then what's stopping you? Fear, pride, love. I love her too much. If silence keeps her safe, I'll stay silent. If I can only be a shadow, I'll take it, as long as she's safe. For how long? I don't know, but as long as there's a threat, as long as someone wants to take her life, my duty is clear. I protect her as a soldier, as a bodyguard, as the father she doesn't know she has. Levi let out a thin laugh that quickly faded. Man, noble and tragic. They smiled, but the weight returned. It's almost funny, Nick said softly. Naomi runs to me whenever she and Dana argue. I see Dana in her stubbornness, but her courage, that's mine. Dana must know that's why she hid it. So what's your plan? Stay silent forever. Simple plan, Nick said. Until this fight is over, no one touches Naomi but me. If the day comes when she's safe, maybe then I'll find the courage to tell her. I'll talk to Dana, but not now. You're a brave man, Nick, and the most stubborn one I know. Soldiers curse, Nick answered. We sacrifice, we protect, we endure, and sometimes we don't get what matters most. At least you see the truth now, Levi said. You've got purpose beyond duty. You're not protecting some rich kid. You're protecting your own blood. Nick smiled through the ache. That's what keeps me alive every night. When I see her sleep, I swear I'll never leave her side again. Levi raised his mug. To fatherhood, silent, secret, but real. Nick lifted the paper like a toast. To my daughter and to her mother, to my Naomi, even if she won't know the truth for now. The house was quiet. Naomi had finally fallen asleep after endless stories about her drawings and new favorite song. Nick had read her a bedtime tale, a fairy story he half-botched, making her laugh at the wrong princess names. With Naomi asleep, Dana and Nick were left in the living room, both seated, both holding mugs of tea. Every small movement Nick made, passing the cup, leaning a little closer, seemed to carry meaning he tried to hide. You're getting really good with her, Dana said. Naomi looks for you now more than she looks for me. Impossible, she adores you. I'm just the bodyguard who misreads fairy tales. Exactly, Dana teased. That's why she loves you, you make her laugh. Nick looked at her. In the lamplight, her features softened. The woman he'd tried to avoid thinking about for years could still unravel him with a single smile. And what about you? He asked, voice low. Do I make you laugh? Their eyes locked, lingering. She looked away, fussing with her hair. Sometimes, when you're not too rigid. Ouch. To be fair, she said, you've been different lately, softer, kinder. Maybe because I realized life, too short to be nothing but hard. Silence fell, no longer heavy, but like a truth neither could say aloud. Nick stood, took a throw blanket, and gently draped it over her shoulders. Dana looked up, startled. What are you doing? You'll get cold. She flushed. I'm fine, thank you. I know you are, he said, but let me take care of you anyway. That tiny act shifted something between them. A blanket felt deeper than it should have been. Dana nodded, a faint smile on her lips. The next day, in the kitchen, Nick tried to help. It went poorly. Nick, that's not how you slice tomatoes, Dana said. You're supposed to slice them, not destroy them. This is my special soldier cut. Special disaster cut, you mean? As she straightened the cutting board, Nick stepped behind her to hand over the knife. He misjudged the space, their arms brushed. Dana froze. You're too close, Nick. He looked at her, that gaze intense, cutting through her defenses. She felt like a soldier without a shield. She looked away, scooped the tomatoes into a bowl. Go set the table. At least there you can't ruin the food. Yes, ma'am, he said, laughing, and gave a playful salute. Days passed. The longer they stayed together, the closer they drew, not just physically, but emotionally. One night, while they watched a movie in the living room and Naomi slept, Dana's head slipped onto Nick's shoulder. Comfortable. Don't move, she murmured. He didn't, even as his arm ached under the weight. He endured it. It was the best pain he knew. As she rested, his hand moved, wanting to take hers, but her phone rang. She jerked upright and answered. Hello, yes, okay, I'll handle it tomorrow. She straightened, composed, back to business. Nick watched her. Don't look at me like that, she said with a small smile. I didn't mean to fall asleep. You can, anytime, I'll be here. Their eyes met again. Words weren't needed. The next day in the garden, Naomi chased Bubbles, while Dana and Nick sat side by side. Uncle Captain, Mommy, look at my big bubble, Naomi shouted. She's got your smile, Nick said softly. Don't say things like that, Dana muttered, but she didn't move away when he raised a hand to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Their hands found each other on the bench, first by accident, then by choice. That simple handhold spoke louder than 1,000 words. That night the house was quiet. Dana rested on the sofa with a mug of warm milk. Nick fiddled with a curtain that had come loose. The air between them was heavy, not with conflict, but with words begging to be spoken. Early the next morning, they sat with coffee. Naomi was still asleep. She always woke late. This was the day Dana had decided to tell Nick the truth. Aren't you tired? She asked. Always taking care of everything. It's like you notice every corner of the house. Not really. I like having something to do. At least I'm useful here. You're useful even when you're doing nothing, Dana said softly, especially to Naomi. Nick paused, looking at her. There was warmth in her eyes, as if something long-held wanted to surface. Naomi, she's carved out a huge space in my life, he said. Every day, I find myself more tied to her. Dana smiled, but the smile carried weight. She stood, walked to him slowly, and took his hand. Nick, I need to tell you something. He met her gaze, feeling her hand tremble. What is it? Is something wrong? I've wanted to say this for a long time, but I kept stopping myself. I was afraid of everything changing when you knew, afraid something would happen and I couldn't handle it. Tell me. She drew a deep breath. I didn't forget you, Nick. Even if it was just one night, I still carry it. And I never hid the truth from Naomi about who you are. She knows you're her father. Nick's eyes widened. Time stopped. His heart slammed, ready to burst with joy. She knows I'm her father. Dana nodded, nervous but relieved. Yes, I never lied to her. I always told her dad was a soldier. And when she asked, I showed her how much I respect you, even if she didn't know you yet. But now you're here. Nick couldn't hold back. He pulled Dana into a fierce embrace, nearly speechless. Thank you for not hiding the truth from her. Thank you for not throwing away what we had. Dana, I don't know how to thank you. Tears slipped down Dana's cheeks. She let him hold her, then slowly wrapped her arms around him in return. I don't want to hide anymore, Nick. I'm proud of us. And honestly, I'm happy it's you guarding us, not just as a bodyguard, but as you. Thank you for protecting our little one, she whispered. They held each other, faces close. Slowly their lips met, gentle, long, full of feeling. Footsteps sounded on the stairs. They broke apart, startled. Naomi appeared on the landing, one eye half closed, hugging her little pillow. Mommy, Uncle Captain, why are you just standing there? You look like a movie. Dana flushed scarlet. Nick scratched his neck at a loss. Naomi, you should be asleep. Come on, let's get you back to bed. Naomi squinted at them, then smirked. Okay, but Mommy, Uncle Captain, you look happy together. Nick laughed. Dana blushed deeper. That kid is too smart, Nick murmured as Naomi padded upstairs. I've taught her well, and maybe she just feels it, Dana said. They walked up together, quiet but smiling. At the top, Nick whispered, "From now on, Dana, I'm not leaving no matter what happens. I'll stay, not just as a guard, as a father, and if you'll allow it, as more than that." Dana didn't answer with words. Her hand found his, and that was enough. That night, for the first time, they felt they had nothing to fear, no more secrets, only truth and a love that had never really vanished. Morning brought the smell of pancakes. Nick insisted on cooking, wearing an apron that said "Best Chef," hilariously out of place on his solid frame, but delightful to Dana and Naomi. "Mommy, look at Daddy Captain," Naomi giggled from the table, feet swinging. "He acts like he can cook, but he can't." "Princess, please," Nick said, grinning. "I'm an expert. Secret soldier recipe." He flipped a pancake. It slapped against the side of the stove and stuck. "Mommy, look, it's already burnt," Naomi crowed. Nick, Dana sighed, laughing. "I told you I'd do it. You insisted." "No way, I've got this, just don't laugh." Naomi laughed so hard she nearly cried, pounding the table. "Go, Daddy Captain, you can do it." Before he could try again, Dana took the pan and finished the batch. Nick stood beside her, watching. "Fine, you win. I'll help with something else." He leaned in, peeking over her shoulder. "What now?" she asked. "Don't get too close, grease splatters." "How can I not? You smell better than breakfast." "Idiot, behave, the child will hear." They shared a look, a shy smile on Dana's lips. When she turned to swap pans, he kissed her cheek, quick, enough to paint her face pink. "Mommy, why are you red? Is it the heat?" Naomi asked. Yes, it's hot, sweetie, very hot." Dana shot Nick a look, while he tried not to laugh. They sat down together, Naomi excited, Dana and Nick trading secret glances. "Mommy, Daddy Captain, we should always do this. Family breakfast." Dana froze, then looked at Nick, who watched her serious. "Yes, Princess," Nick said. "From now on, I'll try to be here for breakfast, always." "Promise, Daddy." "Promise, I'm a soldier. I don't break promises." Naomi cheered, and they ate. Later, the three of them settled in the living room, Naomi curled in Nick's lap while he told stories from his service. "Is it true, Daddy Captain, you have a helicopter?" "It's not mine, but I ride in one. Want to try it someday?" "Yes, Mommy has to come." Dana and Nick shared a grin. "Me, I'm scared of those things." "Mommy, don't be a chicken." Nick laughed and slid an arm around Dana's waist. "The general has spoken, babe." "You two always teaming up," Dana said, sitting close as Naomi rolled a toy car across the rug. Nick leaned against Dana. "You know," he murmured, "I'm happy. I feel complete with you two. I've wished for this for a long time." "Is there anything else you'd want?" "Nothing, you're enough." Their eyes met, and when Naomi wasn't looking, they stole a soft kiss, brief but full. "I love you, Nick," Dana said. "I love you too so much." "I love you both," Naomi squealed, and Nick kissed Dana again. That night, Naomi fell asleep on the couch, the movie a blur. Nick kept watch. "Thank you," Dana said. "I don't know how I'd face all this without you." "You don't have to be alone anymore, Dana, not anymore." They held each other's gaze. Dana leaned into his shoulder, and with Naomi asleep nearby, they kissed again, long, warm, full of promise. For once, there was no threat, no fear, just a family happy whole. The night was quiet. In the bedroom, Dana and Nick lay on a soft bed. Dana rested her head on his chest while his fingers combed her hair. "Nick, Hamus, tired, want to sleep?" "No, I just want to talk." "Talk at this hour? I thought we were sleeping." "No lectures, promise." "Good, if it's a lecture, I'll run." "Silly," she chuckled, then she grew serious. "I want to tell you what I'm thinking." "What is it? Something wrong?" "No, not wrong, a plans." "A plan?" "Yes, I want to introduce you to my family." "Are you sure, babe?" "I'm sure. They should know you're not just the kid's bodyguard or the man who once saved me, you're Naomi's father. And most of all, the man I love." Nick fell silent, overwhelmed by joy. He grinned like a kid and pulled her into a tight hug. Dana, I don't even know what to say. I thought I'd lost any right to even stand near you after I told you to forget me. And now, you'll introduce me to your family. Is this real? It's real, she said. I'm not afraid anymore. I used to think they wouldn't understand. But why hide? You saved me, cared for me. You're Naomi's dad. You're the man I love. You deserve to be known. She took his hand and pressed it to her chest. Hear that, how hard it's beating? That's how happy I am. I don't need anything else. Oh, you'll still want something, he teased. Once your family meets me, they'll have 1,000 questions. Feels like a firing squad. She laughed. My dad asks a lot, but don't worry, I'll be right beside you. I'll tell them you saved me then, and you're still saving me now. That should shut them up. Her eyes softened, tender. Thank you for your trust, for your love. I don't know what I did to deserve this, he whispered. You loved me, Nick, more than enough, that's all. Their eyes met, and he kissed her, slow, full of love. They held each other like they never wanted to part. So when's the interrogation? He joked. She laughed and rested her head on his shoulder. Whenever you're ready, even tomorrow, as long as you're with me. Then tomorrow begins our new story. In the quiet, they drifted to sleep, Nick on his back, Dana in his arms, both knowing morning would start their real family. They arrived early at the Walker family's mansion. Nick's chest felt tight, not with fear, but with hope. This day would begin it all, his introduction as Naomi's father and the Walker family's acceptance. He stood beside Dana, holding her hand. Naomi ran in the garden, carefree, unaware of the moment's weight. Don't be nervous, Dana whispered. They're my family, they'll accept what I choose. I can't help it. I'm used to facing enemies, not the family of the woman I love. She laughed and squeezed his hand. Then consider this your most important mission. What's my objective? To win their hearts and marry me, she winked. They were still smiling when the front doors opened. Dana's parents and brothers stepped out. They turned to Nick, who inclined his head respectfully. Dana, her father said, stern, who is this with you? Pride in her voice, Dana took Nick's arm. Mom, Dad, brothers, this is Nicholas. He saved my life. He's Naomi's father. And above all, he's the man I love. Everyone froze, especially at the last sentence. Naomi sprinted over. Grandpa, Grandma, this is my daddy. He's real, not a secret. Mommy always said he's my daddy. The Walkers' eyes widened. Silence, then slowly, smiles eased across their faces. So you're the soldier who saved our daughter, said Aurelia, Dana's mother. She stepped forward and shook Nick's hand. Thank you for saving our princess. You're the reason she's here with us. We are grateful, she added. Is there anything you want to repay you? Nick shook his head. Ma'am, I want nothing in return. God already gave me the greatest gift, Dana and our princess. I ask only that you accept me as part of your family. Silence, and then one of Dana's brothers, Spencer, laughed. If Naomi already accepts you, why wouldn't we? Welcome to the family, bro. Dana's father drew a long breath. Take care of my daughter and my granddaughter, that's all I ask. I swear to my last breath, Nick said. Months later, they stood at the altar. The church bloomed with flowers and smiles. Naomi, the most excited, wore a tiny gown as the flower girl. As Dana walked the aisle on her father's arm, Nick nearly cried. How did I get this lucky? He whispered. His friend elbowed him. Because you never gave up. At the altar, Nick took Dana's hand and kissed it. Finally, my mission is complete. Dana smiled. Now, Nick, our mission is just beginning. With vows spoken and promises made, everything was whole. Eyes full of love, hands clasped, a family complete. I never thought this day would come, Dana murmured against his shoulder. For you, Dana, I'll fight anything, even my fears. And for you, Nick, I'll let go of every doubt, because with you I'm safe. Permission to request a kiss, he grinned. Laughter rose around them as Nick drew Dana close and kissed her gently, applause bursting from the room. In the midst of laughter and love, The story found its happy ending, no longer a secret that separated them, but a family, whole and forever. The story of Dana and Nick reminds us that life is full of battles seen and unseen, many trials, many wounds, not only on the body, but also in the heart. Their journey shows that healing is possible when someone is willing to hold your hand in the dark. Dana carried the pain of raising Naomi alone, while Nick bore the burden of war and his own brokenness. Their story proves love isn't perfection, it's acceptance. Sometimes words fall short, but simple gestures of care remind us we're not alone. And above all, forgiveness and second chances can turn wounds into strength and strangers into home. And there the story of Nick and Dana ends. This was a story by the African storyteller. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment telling us what you think. Until next time.